Well, COVID-19, the update for this week is, as we all know, we've introduced regionalisation, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because we have boundaries. We can't smudge those boundaries. We will hear applications, but everyone should go to the website and see how they are affected by that. Most importantly, though, protocols that we must follow. The Premier only this morning said she didn't want to use the word shutdown, but what she was very clear in her morning address to the state of New South Wales was these restrictions that have been introduced will be in place for 90 days. That's the first time that we've had the government say that there is a time period on this. Well, we have to live with it. We as participants in the sport, we must address the situations that are before us. We must address the protocols, whether it's for completing the forms as we get to the tracks, whether it's a social isolation and congregation at the tracks. We must conform. And likewise, the clubs, and we've got centralised clubs, they must ensure that all the protocols that we've got in place, in particular, when we're talking about hygiene, that those guidelines, which aren't guidelines, they're stipulations, must be and should be followed. There are other little bits and pieces with this regionalisation, and I suggest you look at the website about the movement of horses. We're not stopping the movement of horses, but we need to know where they're moving to, simply for traceability and biosecurity purposes. We've got to control it. We have to contain this virus, and harness racing, like the other two codes of racing in New South Wales, have the luxury of, as I said, that word that the Premier doesn't want to use. We don't have shutdown. We have continuation. It's going to be tough. The wagering outlook is not good. Sustainability of the sport is on our minds, of the management and the board of Harness Racing New South Wales. That has to be addressed in the next coming days, and we have to accept that. One thing that I can say, and this is on a bright side, whilst we've lost the $1 million pace, we do have still the regional championships, and they will proceed. And they are simply along the same lines, but there are $100,000 finals in the Riverina, in the Western, in the Northern, and in the metropolitan areas. So they're there. They're good races to be in. There's substantial prize money to be won with the $9,500 heats and the $14,500 consolations, but it's that $100,000, and this is a sign of good faith from Harness Racing New South Wales. Other races we've unfortunately had to let go by, but these races are there, and there will be winners. So bear with us during this period. Follow the protocols. Help your sport, your industry, stay involved and operating, and be focused on what is required of you. Hygiene's important. Responsibility when you go to these tracks, if you're engaged in a race meeting, is important. But truly, you should be looking at everything you're doing around yourself in your own environment, so that you protect yourself, and we don't have the situation that we had a week back when we had to suspend racing whilst we had a potential COVID-19 infection scare. So I say stay safe, stay well, and be part of this marvellous industry whilst we can keep it going forward without closure. Thank you, and I'll be back next week with, more than likely, other changes that are forced upon us. But if we are compliant, we will continue to race. So thank you, and until next week.